Now for a movie rant break, One Up presents a movie rant break. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the movie rant break. Today I got a couple returning guests. I got John Smith in the building.
Hey, you already know what the fuck going on. It's John Smith. We in this bitch, yeah. Let's get it.
And we got Ricky Brown in this corner. What's up, Ricky Brown?
Not too much, man. Just hanging with you guys.
Cheer.
Yeah.
So
making it happen.
Fuck yeah. So we've been reviewing, me and Ricky have been reviewing Indiana Jones. And so it's in John Smith. John Smith was on the first episode with Raiders of the Lost Ark with Mini Minuteman.
Yep.
Shout out to Milo. And then Ricky has done the Temple of Doom and
Last Crusade.
Last Crusade.
Yes.
Crusade, thank you. Yeah. And today we're going to continue on and bring these two people / guests on the show for this episode. I thought it'd be kind of cool to have them collaborate. And this will finish the reviews up until the new one that comes out next month.
Yes.
So just trying to sneak all these reviews in before that date. So today, naturally, it's Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. And
It's right here on the table.
Yeah, that's the one of their offspring.
Yeah, it's just not like the right shape, I guess.
Yeah.
But
Alien, like Alien 4 shape.
It's too human. It's too human.
You're done. Okay, so directed by Steven Spielberg, screenplay by David Coep, story by George Lucas, Jeff Nathanson, shame on y'all. Produced by Frank Marshall. The film was starring Harrison Ford, Kate Blanchett, Karen Allen, Shia LaBeouf, Ray Winstone, John Hurt, Jim Broadbent. Cinematography, Janusz Kaminski. Nice. Edited by Michael Kahn. Music by John Williams, which honestly surprises me because John Williams is one of the best like composer, music, and sound, just does I guess like composer. He's like
music
one of the best
composer.
Yeah, music.
Movies, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. That for the past decades. And this film really missed the mark for me, and I thought the music took me out of the film multiple times because I felt like the music didn't match the tone of what the scene was.
Or it was just trying too hard.
Yeah, it was just.
I mean, Steven Spielberg is one of the best directors of all time, so shame on him too.
So naturally, yeah, that's disappointing. I didn't expect it to be John Williams. The film was released back in May 22nd, 2008, with a runtime of 122 minutes. Budget $185 million, with a box office of $790.7 million, which is shocking. And reception from IMDb was a 6.2, Rotten Tomatoes a 77%, Metacritic with a 65%. Now, a quick brief breakdown. This is just another Indiana Jones adventure taking place in 1957 in this film. The last one we witnessed for the Last Crusade took place in 1938. So there's like a 19-year window between the two films, and it's they go on a journey. Okay, we'll just leave it at that till we get into it. But the film does start going into Area 51. We can say that.
Correct.
So
yeah,
and the banter going into the film was just, I was concerned, and I was like, maybe I'm too high, or this is, I don't know. I'm gonna give it a second, but the writing and the banter in this film was very distracting to me. With other things.
There's so much, like, and this is what I was going to say to you, and I know, like, I feel like your overall feeling of the film is relatively positive, but, like...
Let's have him go. Let's have him start that.
Yeah, I would love to hear the positivity.
I want to hear...
Because I have so much wrong.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just a continuation of the adventure and all that, and so I don't have a real negative reaction to it. I did... When I first went to see it, though, this is what I was going to say to you guys. It's weird because when I went into it, I was super pumped, probably overly so, just because it had been a time since we had, the last one had come out, and
I think it's 19 years. I think.
Yeah, it's a long.
I think it's real time because it was like
Yeah.
89 or something. Like I'll try to keep talking.
It's close to that, yeah. And so going to see it, there was a lot of excitement and a lot of anticipation, expectation, all that.
Of course.
And so when I saw it in the theater, I had a very negative reaction about midway through the movie, and then it
Was it right around the time Shia LaBeouf was like swinging from?
That was
fucking
yes.
The monkeys. You know
Yes.
the monkeys from the
Yes.
vines and shit.
Yeah.
That was like when
It
you're
kinda-
like, okay, what the fuck am I watching?
It kind of destroyed that whole chase scene, I thought, when that happened. And
God.
from there, it just went downhill. And then, the end, was, they lost me in the end for sure.
Oh god.
Yeah. yeah.
It was 19 years. It was 89 to 08, so it's like 19 years. So it's kind
That's
of
a
like
long.
it was real
long
time
time.
essentially between the films and the stories.
Yep.
Essentially.
What gets me the
So it
worst
makes
though
it-
is like, throughout the whole story, like it's really obvious that there's some kind of extraterrestrial thing happening. Like that should have been like kind of like inferred by Indiana Jones from the beginning. He sees some weird creature that he has seen before. They got picked up in some weird wreckage that has some weird ability to attract all sorts of metals. He throws up gunpowder in the air and it like tracks into like the building, which is like throughout the entire story, that magnetic thing was worked sometimes and sometimes
Very
didn't.
inconsistent.
Yeah.
A cloth sometimes stopped it from happening and it was weird.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, like it was like they were surprised that there was aliens. And like, don't get me wrong, like maybe you don't jump to the conclusion that there's aliens, but like there's this, it's like it wasn't even said. Like no one was just like, dude, this is some weird alien shit going on. Like, is this outer space? Like, what the fuck? There was none of that. It was just like, the skulls are just different. And this is a crystal skull. You couldn't be made. And like I don't.
Yeah.
It's weird.
They kind of almost avoided it through the whole movie, which was strange because the very first, when they open up the box at the beginning,
Yeah.
what Kate Blanchett's character brings him in for.
Yeah.
And, it's alluded that he's already seen this because he was, like you said, had already been part of that discovery. He was almost forced to investigate it.
Yeah.
That's in part of the story. He gets forced and thrown on a bus, and they bring him to this site, and they investigate it. And so he's already seen what was in the box, which they show just a little bit of it
There was
when
a
they crack it
sealed
open.
mummy,
Yes.
essentially.
Yes,
It was like a carcass that
So
was,
you
like,
couldn't really
smoking.
tell. You just see these weird fingers and hand come up, and that's all you could see. So it kind of hinted it, but it wasn't
Yeah. It was
obvious.
Yeah,
you
but
know?
then didn't shortly after it was like when they were in the tent, there was a carcass of an alien, and they're like, this was what the crystal skull had come
That's
from.
what I'm saying, right?
So,
Right.
right?
It's like
Right.
so obvious.
So then it was the whole film when they like get, or by the time they get to the, I guess was it a Mayan location? Sort of. It was kind of reminiscent to Mayan temples.
Yeah, maybe like Aztec or Mayan. I don't
Yeah.
know. But
Yeah.
like, I think it was Mayan because they
I
kept
think
saying
it was.
speaking of
It
Mayan.
was South America because
Mayan, yeah. But like, what's weird is like that skull was to that skeleton in the temple. They never explained what the carcass with the missing skull was. Was it a baby? Did they? I don't get it. I don't understand. The skull went to the skeleton, which was like a massive figure, but they took
Right.
it out of this weird carcass thing.
yeah, but then there was another carcass.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like, what is going on?
I was confused with that myself. Would you follow that?
Yeah, it's the same. It was never really expanded on. She hints to it when she talks about it and opens up the back of the carcass.
Head,
and
yeah.
you can see that there was a crystal-like skull in there.
Right.
And then she says something about them all being smaller,
Yeah.
and there were larger ones. And but she doesn't really say anything else about it, just because it's the whole, her so-called ability
Yeah.
to
Which like we don't see
read
any of.
minds
Yeah.
and
we don't see any of it.
No, it's a bunch of crap.
But like the other thing
Yeah.
is that really kills me is like I just don't think anything was aired out in this movie. Like Shia LaBeouf's character comes in with this really like unbearable, like awful personality right from the beginning. But then all of a sudden his personality just kind of dissipates through the film, and like he just becomes like bland and boring and has nothing special about him. He's just Indiana Jones' son, and now he's just like doing stuff like we didn't flush out that character at all. Like there was no flushing of it, like none.
And then at the end, he's like, "Hey, Dad."
You're like, what the fuck
like,
is this? It was like the story was like just skipping over all this kind of. Even the guy who double crosses Indiana Jones, his partner. Like we don't know who this guy is, do we? Like he's not from other movies.
I don't recall him from anything else.
Not.
But it's like we're just supposed to assume we know.
Yeah,
it's fucking weird.
They like introduced new characters and they just, like you said, didn't flush them out. And when you say they didn't explain things, like right, you were saying, I think that they over explained things that we didn't give a fuck about. They were trying to like explain origins of like what it could be. Because I guess the alien that was in the tent is the same alien that was in the mummified box, right? Is that?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
I thought that, but there was no like weird metal flying towards it. In the first scene, there's like guns that are like getting pulled and like chains. Like it's sitting in a tent and there's just nothing getting pulled. I don't know.
Inconsistencies throughout it, but like. I think there was all these monologues that were happening throughout the film from different characters that were trying to like philosophize or try to essentially send the characters on a direction and give it some sort of purpose and like this excitement. And I just didn't see it having any value, and it was stupid to me the whole time.
So bad.
It was like, well, this is so not Indiana Jones to me, and I'm not even that big of an Indiana Jones fan. Like I'm not technically. Like I think the Last Crusade is dope and Raiders of the Lost Ark is dope. Temple of Doom, okay. This was like this isn't even the same franchise to me, and like it just was really awkward.
Is this the first like not remake but like late sequel of an old school movie? Like because it was 2008, so it's like kind of at the forefront. Now they're doing it all the fucking time. They're taking these movies that were really popular back in the day, and they're like making sequels to them, or they're doing remakes of them, and like that's just a common thing in Hollywood. But was this on the forefront of that? Because I feel like it was. I don't know if there's any other ones that came out around that time period.
I couldn't say for sure, but it's based on '08, and we're going to say 2020s. They do it all the time now, and this was probably in the they weren't doing that in the 90s, right? So it isn't that threshold.
Well, I mean, it was, I guess, like, unless you talk about Star Wars prequels, maybe, but that was like...
Which is George Lucas.
It is George Lucas, but the prequels actually were a connected story. This is just like something he's whipping together afterwards. So I guess maybe, but I don't think there was like this kind of remake-y style, like... It was off-brand. The money grab.
It was an off-brand money grab. It was not a good watch. And like I said, even as I'm not an Indiana Jones fan, and I was kind of irritated because I was excited to watch this because we've all been watching them. And so to get into this, it's fun. It's an adventure. They're exciting. They're fun films. And this was not. It was just dumb.
Did you watch this before? Or is this your first time?
Me?
Yeah.
I saw it long ago, like when it first came out, and I can see why I was disinterested in it.
And you said you had watched it before.
Yeah, long time ago. Saw it in theaters when it came out with a group of people, and I remember all of our reactions were similar. We came out like scratching our heads, saying, "What the heck?"
Yeah.
That kind of took it off course from what we expected.
Yeah.
The whole archaeological side of things and all that, it was just kind of
not present.
Yeah, I mean, it was there, but it was not. Like there was hints to it and the old ruins and that stuff, but it wasn't really discovering anything other than the Cortez guy that him and his 6 bandits that supposedly found the skull and all this other stuff and found the city of gold and all that. That was all.
Yeah, I mean, I think I remember. So, do you think you could do me a favor and pull up the 2008 box office? Because I was at the drive-in when I saw this movie. Okay, but I don't think I was there to see it. I think I was there to see. You know how they do the double movies?
Yes.
I think I came in early and this was like finishing.
Was it The Dark Knight?
It might have been The Dark Knight. What's another one?
Iron Man.
Not Iron Man. I didn't see that in theaters. I don't think it was The Dark Knight.
Hancock, Wall-E, Kung Fu Panda, Twilight, Quantum of Solace,
Not Twilight.
Sex and the City.
No, definitely not Sex and the City. It might have been The Dark Knight. I was going to see something else, and I just remember like seeing Shia LaBeouf swinging from, the vines with the monkeys, and I was like, what the fuck is this? I was like, this is fucking terrible. And like, when you're at a drive-thru, you're just kind of like making out with the girl you're with or whatever the fuck you're doing, like you're not paying attention to the movie,
especially if you're not there to see that one.
Exactly. You're just like not.
I'm watching the later film.
You catch a couple of scenes and you're like, oh, whatever.
But even if you talk about the 2008, like I'm pretty sure 2009 is when Avatar came out, right?
Correct.
If we look at the special effects in this movie, God fucking, it's so pretty bad, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Like CGI was terrible. The green screens were fucking awful. Like Avatar came out a year after this. Like how far behind were they when it comes to special effects?
And it's crazy because they dropped 185 million, and that's a lot in today's standard,
dude.
Like there's a significant inflation just in the past 15 years. So like the fact they did essentially, it could be over $1 billion. Essentially, if it was approaching 800 million, and 185 million, that's like a $250 million fucking
budget. Yeah,
that's a lot. And this movie was like, you talk about just the special effects and the set design was off rip, was very distracting.
Oh my God,
I was like,
it looked like to touch on it, dude, it looked like when you go into like the Universal theme parks,
yes,
and like it looked like they were trying to make a Universal theme park ride of Indiana Jones the entire time, and it was like, especially that first thing they go into, like the what was it when the Filipino people jump out
the graveyard,
they look like, with the skulls on,
yes,
they look Filipino, they're just Filipinos. They like jump out and like are doing karate kicks and shit. You're like, what the fuck is this?
And then
it just looked like a theme park ride.
And then they come back, then they disappear.
It's like, dude, it looked like a theme park ride is what it looked like. And I was like, yo, this is like so cheap. Mind blowing.
Are you talking about the graveyard scene?
Yeah, the graveyard.
Not when they reach the temple.
No,
and
the graveyard.
Yeah, it was bad.
Well, I got to say, what would have been a good ride would have been that rocket ship that him and the Russian dude are fighting, and they both end up on the front of it, and that would have been cool.
That would have been a cool ride.
That would have been a cool ride.
I even said to you when we were watching it, I was like, am I losing it? Because just so everyone knows, and so you guys know, like, and I already said this to Jordan, but like, I haven't watched 2 and 3 in like forever. I got like a brief summary of 3, The Last Crusade, from him before I watched this, just to make sure I wasn't missing anything. But I did a review on the first one, so I'm kind of like not 100% certain as to where the trilogy went. Like I don't really remember. But when I was watching this, I was like, is Indiana Jones always this campy? Like I feel like it's like really overly campy in the sense of like the fighting more than anything. I was like,
the fighting's always been kind of campy,
but I feel like it was more than
everything was so extra. Everything was more Hollywood and quirky, and it made it disruptive. And the one-liners were killing me. It was so bad.
Yeah,
did they bother you?
Yeah. I mean, the dialogue wasn't great.
Yeah, just the writing in general was
overall
shitty.
It was pretty shitty. There were a couple good things. When he meets with the professor there after he's, been fired, and he's hanging out with him, and he goes back to talking about his dad and of course Marcus, and he, talking about the tough time of them, being gone. Yeah, because they're not in the movie, obviously. So
yeah, when he's at his desk,
that was a good character moment for sure. That was the only good character moment I think about the movie.
Yeah, and I loved what I forget his name, the dean.
I forget
when he says, we're at the age where life stops giving us things and starts taking them away.
Yeah, that was the best line in the movie.
It was by far the best line in the whole movie. Shout out to
Professor Slughorn. God damn it!
Yeah, right.
That was Slughorn.
It was. Yes. Yeah.
Did you see Ollivander?
He was pretty damn young. In that movie, you look at him there.
Yeah. Well, he was the same age-ish when he was in Half-Blood Prince. Think about it, this is 2008.
Oh, was he really? Yeah.
Because he was talking about I think the dean had that line.
That was the dean that said that. Yeah,
Slughorn.
but that was.
But Ox is Slughorn. That was the dude who had his brain lost the whole time?
Yeah, Ox.
No, that's Ollivander.
Oh, okay.
Ollivander was the dude that had his mind.
Sorry,
fucked
my
up.
bad.
Yes.
Harry Potter. I'm
Yes.
not.
Step
not
the
me.
fuck back.
I'm taking a huge step the fuck back. My bad.
It's
Forgive
all
me.
good.
Forgive me.
Way out of
I'm in the
line.
wrong
Way out of
room. I'm
line.
in the wrong room. Forgive me.
Yes.
Oh, shit,
But that
that's
was
funny.
cool seeing them in this. And I had forgotten they were both in this movie because I had watched it. Like I told you, I watched all of them a few months back just to go through all 4 of them. It was one of them random things. You know, I haven't seen these for a while. I'll watch all 4 of them. But that was definitely like by far the best line in the movie. And then, there were a couple other things too. I think they tried to play off them, but they didn't do it as successfully. Was the father-son relationship? Because like him and his dad being estranged for so long. Indiana and his dad, not
Like in the last
Shia
Crusade.
LaBeouf's in the Last Crusade,
Yeah.
and it was so well done that you could see that disconnect was there and that distance between them was there, and they pulled them back together in a way that was really believable. In this one, it was not believable
Not
at
at
all.
all.
It was really kind of forced.
So funny.
And
Very forced.
and the only thing you were saying about LaBeouf's character there, I forget what his name was.
I think we all did. Don't worry.
Yeah, his last
was
name
very
was
forgettable.
Williams, but it's like
His first name
Mitt.
Henry.
He was the
It was
same.
like
Mitt
Mitt.
to a
It was
Mutt.
Henry. He was the same.
Mitt.
He had the same
Yeah.
name as
Right.
He called himself Mitt.
right.
Yeah, he
His
called him-
nickname was Mitt there. So the only thing I think that was a little believable about that is his reaction. I think when he his reaction from being this cocky, arrogant, kind of, almost a little bit of a, pain in the ass. I think when he started seeing Indiana Jones for who he was, he kind of all of a sudden had, like, he lost all his confidence and he had a whole different reaction to it. And I don't know if that was on purpose,
Yeah.
or if it was just the way they wrote it. I don't know.
I know. It's just like it could have just been flushed out so much better. Like
I think
it was
so,
just
yeah.
it was so weak. And it's funny because Shia LaBeouf, like Transformers came out the year before this. So like he's hot. He's hot on the press. And then
Right.
the next Transformers came out the year after that. So he's like, this is his moment. And it's funny, side note, funny story, Shia LaBeouf. So we moved to LA like 3 years ago, right? My fiance is in Burbank for like something, and she's like it parked in front of a coffee shop or something, and like Shia LaBeouf walks up to the car, and I don't know if you guys know, but like Shia LaBeouf is like, there's like this huge thing about Shia LaBeouf going around and giving people herpes, like girls herpes, like
Really?
like he has it, and he like has intercourse sex with girls, and he doesn't tell them that he has it, or he tells them he's wearing a condom and he's not, like real weird shit, right?
Sounds it.
And so like so then like he goes up to the car to Anastasia, my fiance, and he's like, hey, like, like, are you from around here? And she's like, no. And he's like, you know who I am, right? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, what they say about me isn't true, like it's not like that, like I'm not like that. And she's like, yeah, okay. He's like, like we should hang out sometime, like this is where I live. And she's like, yeah, no, I'm good.
No
Thanks.
shit. No shit.
Swear to God.
That is
shit is funny
that
as
is
fuck.
crazy. I mean, when you hear stuff about someone like that, and then, I mean, she basically, firsthand witnessed his moves.
Yeah, exactly, right?
It's pretty cheesy. If you think about it.
But she's like, I don't want no hurts. But I mean, to defend the man for him not being present, I mean, it's alleged, but
It is very alleged, but nonetheless, like
yeah.
that stuff happens. They had the same rumor about Usher, I'm pretty sure, at some point. So who knows? Who knows is real? But I know Hollywood can get kind of grimy. So
Yeah, but he did approach her and kind of try to make some moves on her.
yeah,
and,
exactly.
I mean, that's
Shout out to your fiance.
exactly
yeah,
right.
turn up.
Sure enough. So you're with one of the things I noticed with his character, Shia LaBeouf, was the costume design was shitty, and I thought the whole movie, the costume design
God,
was
it was
terrible.
awful.
But his character was so forced. Like he had the leather jacket, and he never took it off. And they like had traveled across the world from North America to South America
Because
And
he's a greaser, dude.
He's a greaser.
I know, but then he
Yeah.
was still wearing it, and then they
Right.
had that greaser moment in the
It was so bad.
so cringy.
They all had the same varsity jackets on, and they were like, get those greasers, and
Yeah.
like he like they bro, come on.
Yeah.
It's like Steven Spielberg and George Lucas were just like, fuck it, like we'll just do this, I guess. Like we don't really want to, but like I guess we will, and we're gonna make it really shitty because we're just getting the studio's forcing us, so let's just like shove it in their face. Like that's
Yeah.
what it felt like,
and still make a ton of money
of
off
course.
it. You know?
Tons.
Yeah.
I was just surprised and weirded out with how bad everything was. Like, for instance, Kate Blanchett, her accent was terrible and forced and was going in and out all the time.
And as we know, she's
Yeah.
a great actress.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's her acting; it's just it's
Right.
effort at that point.
Right.
Yeah, it's
Hated her haircut. That was just
didn't
so
like her
weird.
hair?
It was so weird.
bad costume design.
Yeah, it was just weird. She was supposed to be this badass. It didn't match.
Yeah, it did not.
It just didn't match her. It looked like, it was a typical bowl cut almost, just
Yeah, it was weird.
absolutely straight across. It just
It was weird.
The other thing, another thing that pissed me off was the Nuketown sequence, where there's a nuke they're dropping in the middle of the fucking desert, and then Indiana Jones hops in a fridge and survives the nuclear blast, and the nuclear blast chucks him across the desert in a fridge, and
through the air. He actually goes over the car. I don't know if you noticed that. It
goes,
happened
like,
quick.
so far,
But, yeah.
and survives, and then
Yeah.
just gets up out of the refrigerator and walks away, and then watches the mushroom cloud dissipate. All of those things would kill you, and you cannot be that close to nuclear blast. You would have had so much crazy burns. And I know it's a movie, but like that did not need to be in the movie.
You don't need to say I know it's a movie. That
Yeah.
was just bad. Like
No,
you don't need to do
because
don't
people know,
defend
I
them.
do.
Oh, come on.
I do because like people will be like, it's a movie. I'm like, I'm telling you, that's extra.
I mean,
don't write that in the movie.
You guys explained very, in detail when you watched what was it, number 2, the Temple of Doom? Is that what it is? When you're talking about like the
fall,
the
plane,
the
plane crash.
Yes.
the fucking raft that's like
Yes.
you're snow tubing into like skydiving into
Off a 2,000 foot cliff.
So I mean, I
into
guess
a river.
Indiana Jones has always had some wild shit like that.
Yes.
but that was just so.
That was so
ridiculous.
extra.
Come on, man! It was a lead-lined refrigerator.
Oh,
of
stop
course
it.
he was protected.
Yo, so I mean, the craziness scene could have been the waterfall scene. He drops down 3 waterfalls. Like that was,
And then just the boat kept floating.
the boat kept floating
Yes.
out. It was like, yo, come on.
Oh god, it was so
Yeah.
bad, dude. I was like, what am I fucking watching? It was just so like, I don't even understand how this got cleared and how they spent this much money on it. I mean, granted, they made their money back, but they only made their money back off hype. They probably had a trilogy in mind. I mean, you saw when Shia LaBeouf almost put the hat on and then he didn't. Like they were clearly
Right.
trying to pass the torch.
Yeah.
And like they knew they were gonna fail miserably. Like after the reaction they got from it, though they made as much money as they did, if they had continued on and made 2 more, they would have lost money. They made the best decision
Yeah.
in the world not doing that.
To kill it at that point. Yeah.
Seriously.
Well, you didn't like the killer ants?
Dude,
only
that
killed
was
the bad guy.
fucking awful. I was like, bro, like I don't know what they were doing. I don't know if they were trying to like say these ants had some weird,
Just super ants. It's Ant-Man
were they like
ants.
4th dimensional ants and they had some weird, superpowers or something. Like that doesn't exist.
Yeah. What do you call them? Big damn ants or something like that? It was some nickname for them
Fuck
that
if I don't know.
Indy
What the
calls
fuck is
them.
that?
I mean,
they carried a body into a
Yeah.
fucking termite. First of all, a
Into a
termite
hole.
mound, because those are termite mounds, not
Yeah.
fucking ant mounds.
And also, they only attack bad guys. I don't know if you noticed. They only attack the bad
No,
guys.
he
he
put
had
the
the
skull, and the skull
Right.
made him go around.
There
and-
was moments where they could have
Yes.
easily attacked the other good people.
Well, especially when him and the Russian dude are fighting again, and they're going at it, and they're both right next to the ants, and Oz is kind of back a ways, so you would have thought that would have been their moment to attack, but
No.
they don't.
The incompetency of the bad guys in this film was on a whole nother level. Like, there's just so many moments where they're just completely incapable of doing anything. But when they go fight a hostile group of natives who are actually fighting back, because Indiana Jones is just always running. Like they're actually fighting back. They just murder all of them.
They
No
wipe them out.
casualties.
Right.
I'm like, so you can't attack a girl, this biker kid, and Indiana Jones. You can't hit a single shot. But this extremely hostile native group with flying rocks, you just wipe them all out like it's no problem. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, can you have some consistency here? I can't figure it out.
Perfect marksmanship on every one of them. Right, one bullet hole in the heart, one in the head. You know,
Like, what the
it's
fuck
like
is that?
It's super accurate,
Dude, plus like like I'm sorry, but I know it's 2008, so like I guess like wokeness didn't exist, but like Jesus, like this was like brutally not, I don't want to say racist, just like awful when it comes to like creating native people, like what they just hide in caves and attack people. I'm sorry,
they're notorious for that, and all
they are.
Jokes.
Yeah, but even the first one, it was like they came from somewhere to attack them to stop them going into the castle. I mean, the first cave that he was in. I remember that, and then they got killed.
Remember, like all the people in the desert were in the exact same outfit. You remember that? Like there was like shit like that where it's just like so overlooked.
No, I get that, but this was 2008. It's just like you think you would like grow a little bit and like make it a little bit more modern, and that's what it felt like. I felt like I was watching a movie that was made in the 50s, not a movie that is set in the 50s, made in 2008. That's what kept fucking throwing me off. I'm like, how old is this movie? Because I thought it came out like fucking 15 years ago, but this shit's like 20 fucking years old, damn near at this point. Well, it was about 15 years.
It's 15 years,
yeah.
exactly.
So it's 15. So it's 15 years old. So I was like, I thought it came out like 15 years ago, but like this shit feels like it came out like 30. It's weird, dude.
I wonder if they were trying to age it more, you know, in the process. I don't know. I'm just saying that may have been one of their motivations, is
to make it feel like
it was older.
Maybe,
you know, and you could tell he's definitely getting older in this movie.
For sure.
You could see it in his acting, in his moving, in his stunts, whatever.
I thought his acting was bad, but the writing was so bad, so I don't like.
I mean, at one point, Shia LaBeouf was like, "We have to go through the eyes," and then he was like, "I'm gonna go," and he's like, "Why would you go?"
Yeah.
Like, don't go. That skull's only brought harm. I'm like, you just said we have to go through it. Like,
right.
Make your mind up, Shia. Like, which one is it, dude?
And then everybody goes with him when he says, "I have to go alone."
Like,
you know, I don't
why even write the line?
Yeah, and all of a sudden they're all walking through it together. It's like, wait a minute.
Like Shia LaBeouf's character just grabs a snake instead of a branch. I was like,
yeah.
You're just gonna get a snake to pull him out of the sand.
They had to force that one.
You actually got startled, which is funny.
I did get startled because he just pulled out a snake because it was so fucking random. I was like, "What the fuck is the snake going on set?" And then, like you said, it was a force of his fear of snakes.
Yeah, had to be put in there.
It was gross, man. Yeah. And like the monkey shit we were talking about, and then after he's done swinging in the vines with the monkeys attack the bad guys. Yeah. Exclusively.
Oh, they did. Yeah. I didn't realize.
And even so,
because what's his name had the skull, so you're supposed to put that together. I guess I don't know.
That sucks.
But that's crazy.
The other thing is too is like you said about the sand, right? At one point, Indiana Jones is like, "It's Ock or Ox? What was his name?
Oz.
Ox. No, I think it is Ox. Yeah, sorry.
He's like, "Ox, get help."
Yes.
Who is he gonna get help to?
Right.
Other than the bad guys. I'm confused. Get help. That was what he was telling him. Get help. I'm like, what? Where do you expect him to get help from? And then he comes back with that. Good job, Ox. You told him to get help? From who? From what? What do you?
Not to mention, they're being really loud.
Of course.
Extremely.
They're like trying to hide, and they're like, it's like, get help. Like, bro, I think we're trying to hide.
And then when the swinging vines, right, to touch on that, the cars like drive off. And he's like hanging up there in the vines for like, I mean,
quite a time.
I mean, it's got to be like 30 seconds or something. But then he just starts swinging and he like meets up with them. Like, I'm just, what the fuck is going on? And on top of that entire chase scene, which you said was okay, I disagree because they had made it very clear they needed this machine to like chop down the trees in the jungle in order to get through it, which first of all, super improbable regardless. Like you're not going to run into a big tree. You're just only going to run into brush. But then all of a sudden they blow up that machine that's like chopping down a lane for them. And then they're just driving for 15 minutes through the jungle with no problem whatsoever. I'm like, why even show the machine? Why not have them just on a fucking road to begin with? So that way when they're riding down the fucking jungle, you're not like, where the road come from? I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, because it looks like they're on an old twin tote road, you know, because they keep having little parts of the plants, you know, or little trees or whatever they were, separating them. so of course he could get the crotch shot and, get the flowers or whatever they were beating off his dick.
Haha.
Yeah,
I
it's
was like,
supposed
that
to be
man got
that.
balls of steel. Goddamn. He jumped into one. I was like, what are you doing,
He
dog?
took it like a man,
I guess.
Maybe he's got none. I don't know, but
It's a transgender man.
Yo,
that's what it was.
I would want to ask the question to the fan base, and this is something that I'd love to hear the answer of from like the masses. Has anybody like went out of their way to go watch this movie not for like some sort of purpose? I can't imagine someone's like, yo, I gotta show you this, or like, yo, you gotta see this, it's so good. Unless it was like to shit on it, like, bro, it's so bad, you gotta watch it. But like, I cannot imagine someone's like, yo, it's so good, dude, like, we gotta watch this movie.
I'm surprised with the reception this film, I don't know if these rating sites were up yet. No, I'm saying like in '08, I don't know if Rotten Tomatoes wasn't in existence, and there was some of the other one like Metacritic, IMDb might have been, but '08 was still like early internet. I feel so.
Rotten Tomatoes existed.
I don't think
08.
so. I don't think so.
Well, maybe not.
Anyways,
not sure.
Point being is like it's people going back and reviewing it, and it can be tampered with it and whatever, but they're still kind of high, like 6.2, 77%. 65%, like that is extremely high for this movie. This movie is not very
surprised.
good.
Yeah, it should have gotten like a 4 from 40-something% from Rotten Tomatoes, what I would expect, honestly.
But what'd you guys think with the giant flying saucer at the end?
I thought we were gonna be able to avoid talking about it. Like I dead thought like you were just gonna do us the favor by like just not bringing it up, like just letting it slide.
I can tell you when I saw it originally. And I told you guys I had a kind of a different reaction back then to it than I do now. It was a big sigh. I went, really? That's how this is going to end? I mean,
it doesn't end like that because then they get married after.
Well, true.
There's like, they shove all this shit at the end. There's like, they escape. Then there's a flying saucer. And then there's the moment where the father son they all become a family, and then it clips to them getting the Marion Indiana Jones, and then credits roll.
True.
Word.
True.
Word. Good writing, assholes.
I mean, I think every one of us that was there that day had that exact reaction to the end. It was like
it's literally credits are rolling when people are walking out of the chapel.
Yes.
It's like, word.
Yeah.
You know what's funny is, and this is what I thought of pretty much the entire movie, is like when Milo came on the show, which if you guys don't know who Milo is, you know who Milo is.
Sure do.
The Mini Minute Man. He's like an archaeologist. He's a gangster. He's our boy. He's dope. When he came on the show, he said his least favorite conspiracy theory is ancient alien conspiracy theories because he believes it undercuts the idea that these civilizations were as smart as they are. And that, aliens had to do it because they're not white type of thing, right? Where it's like, because they're not European, people, that there's no way they could have built a pyramid, or there's no way they could have had an advanced society. The aliens had to have done it, right? And it's funny because I wonder what his feeling is about this movie in that sense, because it goes along that exact line of aliens had to have done it. Aliens are the only way that these societies could have been that smart. It's because the aliens came and gave them the knowledge and yada yada yada.
Like undercuts archaeology.
Right.
It really does.
Right.
It just makes it seem like, this isn't ancient civilizations doing this. This is the aliens came down and did it all for them.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious because that's exactly what he said. You even have a clip of it up on your page about him saying that.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, it's very legit what he's saying with that, because that's exactly what it does. It takes away from the possibility of anybody, human being wise, being able to come up with these things. And we talked about the place where they went into to find the cup in the last one, and how that was all just hand carved out of rock, and it was this amazing.
The real location was what?
It's called the Rock.
It's legitimately called.
Yeah, Petra is what they call it, which means rock.
Because it's biblical as well.
It is. It has some biblical connections.
Yeah.
And so
That's tight.
To see that kind of stuff was done so long ago, and it's still, something you can visually go and see, like just like the other amazing things in the world, the pyramids and things like that, and the ruins. The alien thing just kind of robs,
All of
I
it.
think,
Yeah, and
humanity of that.
And Milo says all the time that ancient aliens conspiracy theories based off of them creating all these things for these civilizations was actually created by Nazis, which is funny because we have this movie that's historically anti-Nazi, anti-communism in this movie, right?
Right.
But this whole anti-Nazi kind of movie series going in and like using a Nazi started conspiracy theory, which was supposed to make it so the Aryan race was the ones that are the smartest, most brilliant, and all these other races can't do what they've done, and that's why the aliens did it for them. That's why they created the conspiracy theory to begin with, that aliens did it. And then Indiana Jones just does the Nazi thing. Like, I don't, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's crazy. It's like, it's kind of wild that that's the case, but who knows?
That's interesting. I think, in my opinion, I would have liked this much better if they just chose some artifact and some random adventure that he's on for this film, rather than create this alien theory, whatever. Just have him go on get him in some caverns, some catacombs. Like, I never needed a flying saucer in Indiana Jones. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just.
I think it ruined the whole image of what he does.
I agree, and I thought it was a disservice to the character and the franchise, so drastically. And
100%.
I'm not even a fan of it. Like, I want to keep saying that, to be clear, and I'm still irritated. Like, it's whack.
Yeah.
Well, anytime you take something that has been relatively well preserved and people have seen it as something that's quality over all of the years that it's existed, and huge fan base, a bunch of cult classic kind of thing. Right. And then you take it and you just kind of make a mockery of it, which is what I felt. I felt like it was a mockery. And it's crazy because it was made by the same people who originally created it. And that's when you think it wouldn't happen. You'd be like, there's no way. But I just have this strong feeling, and maybe if I did some more digging before doing the podcast, I might have found something. But I have this feeling it was like forced on them by the studio. Just because they're like, this is the money grab, we got to do it. And they were like, fuck it, we'll just do it, but we're gonna make it shitty just so you guys can deal.
Now, it was Walt Disney Studios, right, that did this one?
I don't think it was at the time.
No?
It's Paramount.
Okay. So, but it was filmed at, I think, maybe not.
Paramount put it out.
Okay.
Because the purchase that Disney did of Marvel was later.
Well, Lucasfilm, so
and Lucasfilm.
It was made by Lucasfilm, and Lucasfilm was not part of Disney at the time.
Okay.
So Lucasfilm was separate.
But Paramount is the one that put it out.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, probably. Yeah,
They're two separate companies, like Lucasfilm and Paramount Pictures are like separate entities that put this film together.
I think, maybe it was just, and I'm just playing devil's advocate a little bit here with this one. Maybe it was more of because everything kind of dives into the supernatural a little bit in each movie. Each one, it's the Ark in the first one, it's the stones, the Shakira stones in the second one, it's the cup in the third one, and they all have kind of a mystical or supernatural side to them, with powers and things like that. And so there was a wicked stretch to go into the alien supernatural, because I think it's so much less believable for people. Like, I think everybody has an innate kind of desire to know there's like a being or beings that are greater than us. I mean, where do we come from? All those questions that every person has. And yet, when you start getting into the whole alien thing, people are just kind of like, really? It's so unbelievable that it's not believable. And I think, maybe that was where they were just trying to tap into the supernatural, but in a different way. Yeah. And I think they missed it by doing so, because it took it away from that mystery of who Indiana Jones was, and he was always trying to answer these questions. He had the same reactions, but they were just not. It just didn't work in this one. Like, he would shrug them off as bedtime stories, and and he laughed at her when she tried to read his mind and get into his head and, things like that. So I don't know if that was what the attempt was. I'd like to hear some things, some side stories from the directors and what they were thinking when they created this movie.
Seriously.
Yeah, because I do like the supernatural aspect that they've had in the other ones.
Yeah.
Like it's been interesting. This I just think, like you said, they try to tap into like a different version of supernatural, and it was like cheap and forced and not very well thought out. And
Well, I feel like the other ones were always so subtle, right? It was like a subtle amount of supernatural. It was really archaeology based and like adventure based.
Right.
And then at the end, there was always like this little bit of supernaturality of it where it was kind of a hint, but you weren't really certain. Like maybe, yes, there's something, but what is it? We don't really know. This is just like outright, there's aliens and look, there's an alien here on screen and there's a flying saucer and like see you later. It's like, what?
Yeah.
It's a little bit.
Yeah, and the way they all connect at the end, all 13 of them kind of spin into one.
I actually thought that was cool. That was like, I fucked with that, but like it was already too late. Like I was like, that was kind of cool, the whole sequence. But
well, I think that even the idea of the ancient aliens thing, if that's what they wanted to go with, I think they could have done it. But I think if you just made it really like, wait, if even at the end you were kind of, well, is that aliens? Like, is that what it was? Like, holy shit. Like, is that what really did it? Like, you weren't really certain, It was just like way too on the nose at the end. It's like, there are aliens. These are aliens. They're fourth dimensional. They're in a spaceship. And this, like, it's
they're
just,
in a flying saucer.
you're just giving it to us. Like, let us have a little bit of mystery here. Cause there was no mystery through the whole movie to me. I was watching the whole thing.
The beginning,
That's
they
what I'm
show the
saying.
alien and you're like, okay. And then there's just aliens the whole time. I think if they cut that out and then it was just a crystal skull of the alien head, and then they just show up and you get in their chambers and there's that alien sequence and there's no flying saucer, it would be a lot more reasonable.
I agree.
And interesting. But you get aliens in like the first 10 minutes and you're like, is this what we're doing? Okay, we're doing this. Okay. And then it's just, the unveil was, there's no payoff. It was just like this. We knew this the whole time that this was happening. So,
yeah.
So do you guys have anything else you want to like add about it?
What do you think your biggest gripe with the movie is? Like your number one?
It's tough. There's a lot of shit ones. I'm mad at just, if you're gonna do all those things, like say they kept everything the same, I just thought the writing of the dialogue and the writing in general, like dialogue and just the story was just shitty. But just either dialogue is the worst, I guess.
Yeah. What about you? What was your biggest gripe?
Biggest gripe?
Brownie.
Yeah.
Brown.
I mean, I would agree with that, but also just the ridiculousness of some of the fight scenes and things. They just were, so the CGI stuff was cheap.
Yeah.
It was not well done. So that took away from it all. And then just the going into the graves and then going into the ruins when they had these almost guardians of, the tribes or whatever they were supposed to be.
Cringy as
it was cringy as hell.
So
it was
cringy.
Really cheesy.
Yeah. I agree.
And so all that was kind of, kind of takes you out of it.
I think that was my biggest gripe. My biggest gripe was the sets that were used whenever they were in these like places, temple or the graveyard, especially the graveyard, was like with the skeletons all around and there's just no reaction to them. It's not, Shia LaBeouf is a biker kid who's never seen anything like this and he's just like in this place with skeletons all around and like weird, and the way the lightning's flashing and there's like no rain and like the way the wind's blow, like it's clearly in a studio. We're in a warehouse right now and they built this and it looks like a movie ride. I mean, like a movie themed ride from Universal. Like it was just so awful, like not even remotely good. And we're talking about like Dark Knight came out the same year. Iron Man came out the same year. Like what were they thinking? I just can't wrap my head around that, like how out of time they were. And like you said, maybe that was like what they were going for. They were going for looking like the original kind of, sets and builds, but it was just, I don't know, it just really did some harm. And then, like you said on the dialogue, I even mentioned it when we were watching it. Like Shia LaBeouf at one point, like looks at like the open mummy and he's like, was this already opened? Like, I was like, no, Indiana Jones just went over there real quick and like opened it up when you weren't looking. Like, what the fuck kind of question is that? Like, Jesus, like write better dialogue. Like, God.
Right.
It was bad.
It was so bad, dude. I was like, what is this?
It was.
Was this already opened? I don't know. You're fucking blind? Like, what the fuck?
There was so many things. It's hard to pick one gripe. There's so many things. But, you talked about all the CGI being shitty.
Yeah.
In the other episodes, we talked about how they use real animals and like real critters.
Yeah, and they
use none. It's that one snake for like a couple tosses at Indiana Jones.
Right.
But everything else is CGI'd, and that I think that was a nice charm that made the film feel real when they go in these caverns or these tombs. And there's real insects and real rats and
creepy
real
crawlers.
snakes.
You said real insects, and there's like a mosquito on the wall behind you. I just saw. I was like, shit, dude, it's coming to reality.
They out.
Yeah, the whole scorpion thing. When the scorpions are all crawling on.
Oh, that
him.
looks so bad.
It really did look bad. And
Fuck, it looked bad.
stings him in the hand, and
the ants look terrible.
yes,
And like this, they kept doing this like squishy. Like, have you ever killed an ant? Like, there's not like this like weird goo that like squirts out. Like,
I remember the chick. She like squeezes her legs together, her knees together, and like
what the fuck is that?
yeah.
killed it.
All right, what's your number one, like the only, like if you had to pick a redeeming quality from the movie, what would you say it is? One up. You gotta I'm squeezing it out of you. Good luck.
He's searching.
He's really working hard for this one, dude. I got him working. I'm the one asking the questions now. This is my show. I win.
You're definitely not. I don't know if there is any. There was a. I don't think there was.
If you had to pick one, gun to your head.
I was surprised the scene when he's riding on the back of the bike of Shia LaBeouf, and they like go through the library, and he sees a student, and there's like this dialogue. I thought you would have thought that was the worst scene, but I actually was like, that wasn't that bad. Like, it actually was funny to me, and it was.
What was the last line he said when he rode off? He was like, the only way you'll learn archaeology is if you get out of the library.
Yeah. It was like, I kind of fucked with that. It was dope because that's relevant.
Yeah, you did say that when we were watching it. You're like, that wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
I think him sitting there and being like, oh, what is the answer to this test? And not being like, what are you doing was stupid. But that line, I think, worked.
Right.
Yeah.
It kind of, that was good. I thought that was pretty good interaction.
Yeah, it wasn't that
between
bad.
the two. Yeah.
What about you? What's your like biggest redeeming quality?
Gosh. I don't know. I mean, go ahead.
If you're gonna keep thinking, I'll
go ahead.
help you out. Redeeming quality of Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, the fact that Sean Connery made a quick cameo on the desk.
Right.
Best part of the movie. I was like, where he at? They have a lineup of like all the coolest characters dead. You're like, word. They're all dead.
Well, that was like the most real moment in the film.
For sure.
Like the most real, believable moment. Their characters were, I mean, the roles, they were perfect in that moment.
They were in a real house, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
like
I believe it was his house or his professor or the dean's house.
Yeah, and the dean has that line, the best line in the movie.
Yes,
it's like that. That was the best scene in the movie. So like that scene and those moments,
and their dialogue was real there too. Yes. Well, how Deidre react to the news? He was the dean's wife. And like Annie, she was both, I forget what he said, but it was a good line too. It was, she was both happy and sad or whatever, it was like, there was like a proud moment for her, cause almost like she's like, finally we're done with this. And then probably, it let your imagination go to a place that was good. It wasn't like you knew what they were talking about. You could relate to what they were talking about, and the rest of it you just couldn't relate to it. It was just so random and so off, and
Yeah.
The rest of the film,
nothing was connected in the rest of the film like
Right.
that one scene was really.
It was like intimate and organic.
Yeah,
It felt like a real
exactly.
conversation between two guys catching up and like talking
yeah.
about life.
It's
Perfect.
amazing how much us as consumers want stories that are driven on those kind of conversations. I would have been okay with watching a movie
Yeah.
that was an hour and a half long of that and 30 minutes of action. Like, I'd be totally okay
Right.
with it. I would be, and I know it's Indiana Jones, it's built on action. That's what it's all about. Long sequences of action. That's like what it's built off. Fine. You want to do an hour of action? Cool. But like, give us more character work. Give us more time to see Shia LaBeouf in his realm as the son, and like seeing the pain he felt with like not having a father or not knowing his true father, whatever the case is.
Right.
Build off of it so that we can connect with him, and then have that moment when they meet, almost like you said in the third one, The Last Crusade, where they were able to kind of build that connection between Indiana Jones and his dad. It's just
Right.
like, give us more character work. That's all we want. And it's always the case. There's a very few amount of people who are like totally okay with just pure action and no character work. And it's funny I say that, but I just found out literally 2 days ago that the highest grossing Fast and the Furious movies are all like the most recent ones, like the ones that are just the most action and no characters. So
Yes.
I don't fucking know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But in my perspective, it's like, give us more character work.
Well, I
you know?
think the art of the movie making kind of disappears with movies that are like that are just action, action, action. This is what people want. But realistically, I don't think people want that. I think it's entertaining at times, but it's not what people want to see. Like some of the movies that I've enjoyed the most have been just these random movies that I find on Netflix or something, and I've never heard of them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, it seems like an interesting story. And then there's like this real character development of who these people are and the people around them.
Yeah.
And it tells a story that's so much more in depth and believable and all. And these movies aren't really meant to be that.
Right.
But at the same time, there should be some quality to the humanity or to the relational things that are supposed to be happening.
Yeah.
Whereas everything seemed to be forced together quickly and
Not cohesive.
not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think on the fucking action tip I think Hollywood, there was a point where if like film originally started, there really wasn't action like there is now. I mean, there was action, but I feel there was a point where Hollywood was able to make so much money off a film that had crazy action sequences like Star Wars and Indiana Jones, like in the 80s and like late 70s and stuff, because they just were more exciting and believable the way they executed with it. And I think that's like why Hollywood got into it more, where they're like, oh, that did so well. There's some of the biggest films of all time, and it was because they had this iconic action sequence. So like, oh, more is better, and that's not the case.
Right.
And obviously this isn't a blanket statement, but I think that plays a factor sometimes. And you see some films in studios forgetting that stories sell. It's not the action, like
Right. Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
Yeah,
potentially,
and when you can do the combination of both, like the original Indiana Jones movies did, they found that fine line between being able to build
Right.
on character but give you the action. If you can do both, that's why Marvel was so successful for so long, is that it had all the action that people want, but
Yeah.
with good character development, good
Right.
dialogue, good character.
Yeah.
So like it's finding that fine line. It's just this movie didn't find that fine line
At all.
It was incapable of doing so. It just had no idea how to bring good dialogue with movie, which is just wild because the creators of it were so good. That's
Right.
what blew my mind about
Right.
the most about it. But yeah, I think TV has changed the way movies have been kind of made, because especially now in the world, and this wasn't so much in 2008. I think the only TV show that was big in 2008 was like Lost or something, and then all
Right.
like the cheesy ones. But
shout out to Lost.
yeah,
Yeah.
but
Bad
like,
ending.
Now,
Good
nowadays,
show, bad ending.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There's a lot of those Game of Thrones. The TV now gives writers more time to flesh out characters, and do more character work and spend more time. Like you have TV shows like Ozark that like could never work as a movie. You could never do that in a movie. Like it
Right.
would never work. And there's plenty of other ones. I'm just not thinking of any of the ones on the top of my head, but all these TV shows, Breaking Bad, like all these TV shows that have built around character and moments and time and spending time on that.
Yeah.
I think it's changed how movies are perceived. Movies are like, oh, let's give as much action as we possibly can. Let's cram it all into 2 hours. And let's try to make it as fun of a ride as possible. It's almost like you're going to the not the carnival, but like the theme
amusement park.
It's like a theme park ride.
Yeah.
That's what movies are now. It's
Right.
not based off the story as much anymore, and it's sad, but it's true. My only
agree.
redeeming quality I had was, I don't know what came first, but I said it when we were watching it. I don't know if Modern Warfare 2 came first or Modern Warfare 2 or 3. I don't know. No, 2 or Nuketown in this movie, because Nuketown is a map in Call of Duty.
I think that was just.
I know it's like it's based off, but Nuketown in Call of Duty was like almost identical to that Nuketown, which is kind of funny because like Nuketown is a famous map because it's a really small map. So the same way people use Shipment now to like go and level up guns because it's just such a small map and there's so much chaos. That's what Nuketown was. It was like,
But Nuketown's a real place.
No, I know, yeah, it's a real place, but they were both really similar from the movie and Call of Duty, like super similar. So
I would assume Call of Duty ripped it off the real location.
the real location, yeah. But I just thought it was cool. The way they built the little Nuketown was kind of fire.
It's
not what happened to it afterwards and how he got out of it, but just the
Right.
way it looked. I liked it with the mannequins and everything. I thought it was tight.
Yeah, it's Nuketown's like north of Vegas.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure they actually used like little towns like that to do atom bombs on.
Right.
Probably.
I know there's. I know the first one I think was dropped in New Mexico, I believe.
Yeah.
Was where the first one that the whole Manhattan Project
That's
kind of is all part of that.
Nuketown is. Like, it's like where they were doing it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like
It's where the
little,
first
like,
big
town.
one
Yeah.
was.
Just remind me of Call of
Dropped.
Duty. That's why I liked it.
So I was okay.
Yeah.
So I liked it. It was just it was Call of Duty-esque. I was like, oh, this is Nuketown.
Well, it's funny you talk about that though, because you can actually go there, and I think the one that's in New Mexico is only open 2 days a year. They have like a big open house and let people come in. And,
Oh, that's cool.
And that's it. You can see it for that one because it's a military base that is kind of closed off the whole rest of the year.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so because they do missile launches and things like that from there. So it's kind of cool how they, those things, they really happened. That, like you said, that's kind of a cool aspect of this movie.
I got a question for you, Brownie.
Yeah.
If you had a chance to go into Area 51, okay, but you could never say what you saw inside of it, right? Mm-hmm. Would you take that chance? If you ever said what you saw inside of it, you'd get killed.
Yeah, I mean, I could easily not say anything, go into a place like that and not say a word, but I don't know if I'd want to know, because it probably would drive me crazy to not be able to say anything about it, just if it was super revealing, about some of the crazy things that we think are there.
I mean, what do you think's in there?
Honestly, I don't know. It's hard to say. Obviously, there'd be, if this really exists, Area 51, I'd say there's probably some pretty interesting secrets there, maybe some really bad stuff that we don't want to know about.
I wonder if it's human trafficking like hub.
That would be horrible.
Because there's a lot of like how close is Area 51 to Las Vegas?
I mean, I think it's like 4 hours away or something.
I've heard some interesting
3
like
hours
conspiracies of like underground tunnels and cities in general, but Vegas being like a place where a lot of it goes down, and it could be a place.
That'd be fucking weird.
That would be, that'd be horrible, actually.
Because you could
that I would not want to know about.
Yeah. There's a
or
girl,
maybe I would.
There's
I
a
don't
girl
know.
on TikTok who interviews her dad, who's like an ex-CIA agent or something.
Yeah.
And like she asked him like, what's in Area 51? He's like obviously can't tell you. But then she asked a bunch of other questions about it because like that's her whole thing is like ask a ex-CIA agent like questions. But yeah, he was just like, it's just like new technology. Like it's not aliens, like aliens don't exist. That's like what he said. Obviously, you could be completely fucking lying, but
Right.
I think that could be the case. I think you could go there and it's just like the top of technology that America has come up with is in that place, and that's why it's so top secret, is because they can't let any
Right.
other country learn about what we're doing technology wise, because then they'll take it from us. It could just be that, but I don't think if I had the opportunity to go, fuck, I might take it because I'm fucking really interested. Like, if there, I might have to do it. And like, I don't think I would snitch. Like, I don't think it would come out. Like, I'm not the type of person who gets drunk and like says shit too. Like, I like there's no scenario where like something would get snuck out of me unless somebody like brainwashed me or like did hypnosis or
truth
something.
Serum
Truth serum.
or some other shit like that.
But I think I'd take the chance because
Laughing gas.
Even Indiana Jones like depicts this Area 51 as kind of interesting. Like all these boxes and shit. Like I don't want to be like, what the fuck is in these things? You know? Can I open that fucking thing up? What's in there?
Yeah.
Like they did a little shout out to.
I was just gonna say
arc,
that.
yeah.
Yeah. Did you see that? It was like right at the end of that scene.
Yeah.
Half the box was knocked open.
Yeah.
And you could see it. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't care to go to Area 51. I don't care. I got other shit to do.
Ignorance is bliss.
Okay. Right back at you.
No, I mean that's a good thing. Like some people like that shit.
Yeah.
Ignorance is bliss.
Yeah, do you guys want to talk about other shit? Like, do you believe in aliens? Let's ask that question.
I don't. But can I say they don't exist for sure? No.
Yeah.
Me personally, I don't. If they do exist, I would be more apt to say it's more of a spiritual thing, perhaps.
I'm with you.
Like a demonic almost, or something along that line. If you want to go down that route, that's the only way I could explain something like that in my own brain. The possibility is there, of course, because anything is possible. We've seen it time and time again, and space is so unknown to us in reality that it's hard to say what could or couldn't be out there. So, could they exist? Yes, but do I believe in them? No, I don't. I think it's a lot of bullshit, and I think it's being manipulated and used to fuck with people's heads.
I don't disagree. I've always said there's just as much probability that there isn't, and I just leave it at that. I don't got time to, like, if there is a word, I guess, like, what am I gonna fucking do about it? Fuck.
Yeah.
I know you believe in aliens.
Well, yeah, you can actually go watch the first Indiana Jones podcast. I go in detail about how I feel about aliens existing. We had Milo on that bitch, so you can go check that shit out. Because if you're here for this, then you're here for that. So if you haven't watched it, make sure you go watch it because I go in depth about my belief on aliens. So I give you all that juice, you know what I'm saying?
Ridiculous. Okay, so do we want to say anything else about the film?
I mean, what I do want to talk about is like how.
Not you.
What? I don't know if you were gonna go into the. Thanks, dude. I don't know if you were gonna go into the next segment of like talking about the next movie coming out, but I would want to talk about like how do you feel about the de-aging that they did on Indiana for this next movie? Like, obviously, this movie's coming out when? Is it this summer?
June 30th.
June 30th. Okay, so like, and literally. Like under just about a month, right?
6 weeks.
Yeah, a little 6 weeker.
6 weeker. Yeah.
6 weeker. Yeah, I mean, like I'm looking at it and I'm trying to figure out whether I'm gonna like this or not. I feel like it's gonna be a lot better than this one. I just have this feeling. Hopefully it's not.
Has to be.
It actually wouldn't take much to be that much better.
The only thing that I hate about modern cinema is they have this bad habit of taking the characters that we love and making them seem stupid as fuck just to build up new characters. Like that's what happened to Han Solo in the new Star Wars movies. Is they just shit all over Han to make the new characters look smarter. It's like, why is Han Solo still out there robbing people and getting fucked over when he saved the fucking galaxy? Like, it's just stupid. Like, it's just dumb. So I hope that they don't do that to Indiana in modern day cinema where they just like break him down to build somebody else up. That would be my only concern, because I think the only thing you could do worse than this movie is destroy Indiana Jones as like the hero. Right? At least he was the hero in this one. It wasn't as good as the other ones, but at least he was the hero. They didn't make him look stupid. They could do that, and that's kind of what I got from a vibe from the trailer. So
Yeah, I mean, I tried to not watch the trailer because I try to avoid watching them these days because they're too unveiling. So
They're very unveiling.
But I did think the de-aging...
Too much info.
Definitely. The de-aging thing looked potentially distracting. But I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, and like I don't think any Indiana Jones movie, and correct me if I'm wrong, you guys know better than I do, like did a back in time sequence, like went between two times. I feel like they all played
prequel, the Temple of Doom was not a lot.
But I'm saying within the same movie, like it went back and forth between modern and
no.
They did in the third one because
with Sean Connery.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. When he was young, Indiana Jones, really young.
Oh yeah,
River Phoenix.
Yes.
Am I saying that right?
Was that in the opening?
Yeah.
In the opening,
exactly.
yeah. I
different actor.
remember that.
Different actor.
Yeah.
But they do that.
They
but
did
this
that.
is
cool. Well,
this is
fun.
Harrison Ford, but it's
right.
But
The de-aging thing is, I don't think we're there yet, technology wise. We're just a little too far off.
Yeah.
Uncanny Valley is still there.
Yeah. I'll be disappointed by it probably if because I've always been a fan of not necessarily trying, unless it's part of the story, which I'm assuming it is, if they're going to go back and forth with it. I've never been a fan of making someone look way younger than they actually are. If they're that age, then that's who they are.
Right.
So make it believable and real in that moment. So if he's going to be older, it's okay if he looks older, especially after the life he's lived. If you think about it,
right?
All the traveling, all the adventure, all the fights, all the,
Well, I think he is older in parts of it. So they have him as the way is right now, but then they have sequences where they go back in time and they're telling the story of what happened prior, and that's when they do a full de-age and they actually do like a full CGI face. And I think the first time we ever saw this was like in Tron. I think Tron was the first time there was a full de-ager, and it looked really bad then. Like, that didn't age well at all because they just weren't even close then. Now they're closer, where it's like you're watching, you're like, sometimes you're like, damn, that looks like pretty on point, but then there's other times where you're watching, you're like, no, that's just.
But to correct you, the de-aging in Tron, some of that's Clue, who's a program.
Yeah, no, I know, but nobody else has a program has a CGI face.
But I don't think it was necessarily like supposed to be like the way you're perceiving it to be. Like,
it was supposed to be hyper realistic. The director even talked about it.
I know, but it's still like there's only like one sequence where it's like actually Kevin Flynn, and it does not look that great. But like when he's in the grid, like there's I don't like it. He's a program. Like I don't.
Yeah, but there's not a single other program with a CGI face.
Why does that matter?
Well, it's just
because like why does that matter? Like
because they tried CGIing his face to be hyper realistic. They didn't try to make it CGI looking because he's a program. They tried to make him look like a real person.
Well, because like when he made the grid, he was a certain age, and so like that's why.
Correct. I know. That's what I'm saying. They de-aged his face to make him look like the age he was when he created the game, but it just was the CGI just wasn't there yet.
I just took it for like he was a program, like, and that's how I don't trip on it, I guess.
Yeah. No, it's commonly known that it just didn't age well. It was just they were trying to do something that was a little bit too far ahead of their technology at the time. Right. And I think since then it's gotten better, but it's still just I just don't think it's there yet.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
So we just can't.
It'll be distracting.
The fine details of the human face are so hard to replicate, and with CGI, and CGI artists talk about it all the time, where it's like there's millions of muscles in the human face, and like and the skin texture, and like how the light hits your skin, and just
millions?
Everything.
We're going millions.
I think it's millions. Yeah,
millions of muscles. No, there's not. No fucking way.
Yeah,
no fucking
they're
way.
all like little micro muscles. That's how you can make so many
millions of muscles.
Yeah, that's how you can.
Let's see.
How many muscles
Look it up.
I'm going to. That seems like a little.
Yeah.
Yeah, but having said that, there's so many different things, responses, reactions. You can't put like a time clock on it. Happens so quickly. Each little thing,
exactly.
The twitch of an eye, the squint of an eye,
We're saying 40.
Corner of a mouth. That just the way they react to different things when you're putting it into CGI. It's just
it's hard.
There's no way to match that.
Yeah,
to make it believable.
Not to cut you off, sorry, but
no, you good.
There's not even 1,000 muscles in the body.
Yeah, maybe not muscles. Maybe it's something else. I don't know. Like, I don't know.
You already made one thing up. Let's not make up another.
Okay,
Maybe it's
all right.
nerves.
It's
Nerves.
something. It's like nerves, or it's like, I don't know. It's something. It's like there's something there's a very lot of in the human face. And please, if you're if you're what is it? Not
Dermatologist
physiologist, or no? What is it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
A doctor of
anatomist.
if you're a doctor of faces.
Yeah, tell us what there's a lot of in our faces, please, because I don't know. There's a lot of bullshit in my face right now, so I guess that's where I'm at. As of right now, until somebody saves us in the comments, please.
That's it.
There's no saving. Yeah.
I guess I'm fucked.
So yeah, I hope like with the story with the new one, like if they are gonna jump back and forth through time, I just hope they probably didn't need to. Like I'm sure you could have done some journey where he's not de-aged, but hopefully they made a cool story that it's enriched because they are bouncing back and forth, and it makes it exciting, and you can overlook the de-aging. But we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's
Yes.
not bad. I mean, I feel like they had to have waited this long for a reason because they knew that the last one wasn't good, and that's
15
why.
years.
That's why they're like, all right, fuck it, we're just gonna do a new one that's good. But who knows? I have no faith in modern Hollywood.
I'm surprised actually that they're doing it. I'm surprised by the announcement well, of course, it's always about the money.
I mean, I would
But,
if I was
you know.
Harrison Ford, I wouldn't. I'm sure he cares about the franchise. I'm sure some of the people that have been a part of the franchise care about it, and I wouldn't have wanted to end on that note. So I'm assuming it would be a rebuttal, if anything, and maybe the conclusion of Indiana Jones, and it would be a service to the franchise to end on a high note rather than like dog shit.
I was just looking online though before this, and maybe I'm incorrect, but I'm pretty sure they're making more after this. Like I saw like 2 other names with no cover yet.
Maybe.
So I don't know if they're
Really?
in the plans to be like, this is going to be a new trilogy, and like the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is going to be like a one-off that we like kind of forget about, but we're going to do a new trilogy now. Like I don't know if that's in the plans, but when I was looking on Flickster just to see what the ratings were for the other ones, I saw like 2 that had no cover that had different names, and I was like, what the fuck? Are
Really?
these?
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe,
it's out
maybe
there.
not.
Somebody threw it out there. Maybe it's just something there.
But I hope not. I
Trying
hope
to drum up interest.
They're saying it's the last one.
Okay, good. I hope they don't try to milk this shit. But yeah, if it's the last one, hopefully they just do it all justice and give us a good
Right.
movie.
That'd be nice.
And who's directing the new one? Is it Spielberg again? Or are they doing somebody else?
You can check. I would assume it's Spielberg.
I'd be surprised if it was anyone else.
If he gave it to someone else, right?
Yeah.
Like, I doubt it. And I feel like he would have to redeem the shit out of himself. He's like, damn, 2008 was a rough time period for me, man.
It's James Mangold.
Oh, shit. So he's not even doing it. He's out. That just shows that he didn't have any passion in the last one.
Yeah.
Because if he did, he'd be coming back to trying to resurrect it.
Yep.
But instead, it's like, no.
He didn't care.
Yeah.
It's like whatever.
This dude did Walk the Line, which is a good movie.
Yep.
So
That makes sense. Did you hear that? Complete side note. Did you hear that Arnold's done with the Terminator series?
No.
I did see that.
Is that what was the last one? Was it?
Some bullshit, I guess. I don't know. I didn't watch it.
Yeah. What the hell
He's
was
been
it?
done,
That's
though,
like
like-
recent too, wasn't it?
No.
Within the last couple of years.
And then they made the new Creed movie without Sylvester Stallone. He wasn't in it because he didn't agree with the way they took the character. Like they're taking all these like massive movie series. Like I wouldn't be surprised if they do another Indiana Jones without Harrison Ford. And they're like, yeah, like Harrison's
Well, dude,
like, I'm
they're-
done.
Some other character.
It's like them doing Potter for an HBO series, which could be catastrophically bad for society.
Well, the Lord of the Rings series that came out on Amazon was catastrophically bad for society. So yes, it probably will be. But HBO does pretty well when it comes to content. Like they make pretty good shit. Obviously, they fucked up in season 8 Game of Thrones, but
There might be no comparison if they botched Potter, because at least with the Rings of Power, it's not the story of
they're doing like the same story or
yeah.
over again with new
They're
actors.
recasting Potter
Jeez, dude.
and Hermione.
Oh wow.
That's
Yeah.
wild.
That's
Do you have a mosquito on your like headphone? No, other side. Yeah, up high. Yeah, oh, there it goes. Flies away. Yep. Okay.
Well,
I have to call it out because someone's gonna
Go on.
see it on camera, and if I'm being meta right now, so the more
he back on the last.
the more
last
meta
time.
I can be is the better. Yeah, he's like flying on.
I'll just keep turning my
The
head.
fucking mosquitoes
twitching
came out
it.
yesterday. How about it?
Yeah.
It's fucking obnoxious.
It was pretty wild last night.
They got so fucked
Everywhere.
up.
We have a good party. Good
I don't know. It's
barbecue.
just so fucked up.
So, what are you guys rating this film?
You asking me?
I'm gonna let you go first.
Yeah, you go first.
5-1.
5-1. Okay.
It's in the middle.
Just over that median.
Just over
threshold.
just over it.
What's John Smith hitting it with?
I can't get over like. It's gonna have to be like a 2.1.
Wow.
2.1.
2.1.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the point one is just for Nuketown. The two is just because it was a movie with a beginning, end, and finish. So like I'll give it something. And you know I'm a sucker for Harrison Ford. So like
Right.
I'm cool with that. Everything else was fucking god awful.
Fair. I'm gonna hit it with 1.1. And
Dude,
the reason is because it was such a disservice to the character and franchise of Indiana Jones.
Dude, I respect you.
And it's unfortunate. I feel bad for people that are fans of Indiana Jones. Like, this is dog shit and almost unwatchable. And it surprisingly just kept getting worse.
Yeah.
And like the ending was just like, wow, that was such a shitty movie. It gets a 1.1 because Harrison Ford he tried. I'm sure, and I'm sure he got bank. But like, yeah, 1.1.
Wow. Yeah, I respect that, dude. And like you're right. Like I couldn't even imagine if I grew up with Indiana Jones. Like that was my series and I was a huge fan, and oh my god, there's a new one coming out. I'm so excited. They casted Shia LaBeouf. He just killed it in Transformers. Like, it's gonna be so good. Steven Spielberg's coming back. It's still Lucasfilm. George Lucas wrote it. It's gonna be fire. Then all of a sudden you watch it, you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I can't even imagine.
I'd be so pissed.
Yeah.
I'd be so
Yeah.
pissed. I get tight with the Fantastic Beasts films because I'm a huge Potter fan. And I mean, those are not good, but they're not like, this is like just over the top bad quality film. Yeah, like, it's a bad picture, you know what I mean? So sorry for all the people that have had to take that L. I'm here for you. I hate it with a 1.1 because I got your back. Okay? Fucking out here for you.
Love that.
So, all right. Well, I think that covers it.
Hell yeah, man.
I think that did.
You want to hit a plug, Johnson?
We all beat the shit out of it tonight.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think it deserved it, dude. It's been too long.
did.
Like, we should have beat the shit out of it when it came out, but we just weren't existing at the moment, like, as a unit.
The movie Rant Break was still like in some sort of fetus.
It was a fetus state. We still talked about movies back then. It was just a
08?
long time ago.
Oh, wait, it's a long time ago.
Yeah.
15 years ago.
But yeah, I'll hit a little plug. You already know what the fuck going on. It's John Smith. I'm so appreciative of being here. I always am appreciative of being here. Thank you, One Up, for having me, and thank you, Brownie, for being here with us.
Right.
My name is John Smith. You can get at me on social media, John X Smith. I'm an artist. I'm a rapper. You can come tap in with that. I also stream Warzone, so you can do that too. Come tap in with that shit. I have a new song out right now. It's called She Ain't a Bag. And I got a new song dropping that might be out by the time this episode comes out or right around the same time. It's called Fentanyl. So if you haven't already, make sure you go subscribe to my YouTube channel, John X Smith, just like a name. Or you can tap into my Instagram at MG_John X Smith. Twitter's the same shit as that. So if you want to tap in with me on socials, get at me. But my YouTube has all my content, and you can get at me on Spotify, all that shit too. So appreciate y'all. Thank you for having me. One Up, as always, you're the best. And I had a lot of fun.
All right. Ricky?
Same.
Love it.
No, I had a great time. Always appreciate coming on. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, dude. I love having you on the show, dude. It's so
It's
fun.
a lot of fun.
Yeah, I feel like we crush it.
Yeah.
I think we talked about doing through the Back to the Future joints at some point.
Definitely.
What was the other one we talked about? There was something recent we brought up that we were going to get into in the future. I forget.
Possibly The Hobbit.
That's what we talked about.
Yeah, I would love for you to take the hobby because me and him are going to finish
Yeah.
the Lord of the Rings series. By the way, that is coming. We will do the Two Towers and the Return of the King, and I am very excited about it. But if you could take
Yeah.
the Hobbit, that would be phenomenal. I don't particularly like those movies. I'm
Yeah.
not a fan. So I would love for somebody that has like a little bit more. I think you like it a little more than I do. So
Yeah, I have mixed feelings about it, but yeah,
So
definitely.
take it.
Yeah.
Go ahead, take it. I love that. I'd love that. But
Thanks for throwing me that bone.
you know, I'm gonna go super nerd.
Ignore him.
I'm gonna go super nerd on these next two.
Yeah,
so.
it's good. I look forward to it. I love the other one you guys did. It was a great show.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to you guys doing those.
Word. Apologies for my rude guest.
What?
It wasn't bad.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad.
No, that's good. I'm saying I want him to take it.
Yeah.
I think he'll kill it.
I'm looking
He
forward to
gonna kill
those.
it.
That's
yeah,
a compliment.
Yeah, it's a series I love. I mean, Lord of the Rings definitely my favorite trilogy of all time. So,
Hell yeah.
The Hobbit is not in that same ranking, but I still like it enough to, but mixed feelings about some of it.
They should have made it 2 movies.
Should have for
3
sure.
is like a lot. Like
Yeah.
2 was like, okay, you could do that. But 3 is just,
Right.
That's intense.
they added so much in those movies that's not in the books.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like not
Over
the
the
story
top.
of the Hobbit.
Right.
Like it's the
Like
Hobbit.
Legolas. He's
Right.
I wouldn't have hated
just
that.
his
but-
existence. in the
Legolas,
picture.
Kate.
That's not
I call her
even-
Kate from Lost.
Yeah, Kate.
She's in there. So.
Shout out to Lost.
Yeah.
That's the second shout out to Lost tonight.
right.
Are we just shouting out Lost? JJ Abrams?
JJ,
Don't know how to
right.
finish a movie series ever? Or TV series? You just can't finish?
Yeah.
Can start good, but you
He
can't
starts
finish.
great, but
on
that's
the
it.
Hobbit thing though, like having Legolas in there wouldn't have been the worst thing. Like,
No, I don't hate it.
There's so much worse things that happen in there.
A ton.
Yeah.
Yeah, but okay, cool. Well, thank you
Look
guys for being
forward
on
to
the
that.
episode. Like for real, and yeah, I do too. It'll be dope. But thank you for being on the episode, guys. It's really nice having you both on the show. I hope people appreciate having you guys both on the show for this episode. I thought it was kind of cool. Like I said, a little mashup from all the Indiana Jones reviews I've been doing with you guys, and I thought it was a cool episode. So I wish the movie was better, but
It wasn't.
this was doo-doo. So, okay, John Smith hitting it with a 2.1. Ricky Brown hitting it with a 5.1. And your host hitting it with a 1.1. That's Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I appreciate everybody for listening to this episode. I'll check all you on the next episode. Deuces.